Sweetheart. Good morning. Baby. Change my mind. If you love me, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you? Baby, don't you? Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Y'all watch what I do right quick. Baby, don't you? Baby, don't you? Baby, don't you switch up the vibe. If you love me just like you say you do, I got me. Y'all go ahead and do the mashed potato in the chat room. Let's see y'all. Yeah. All right, y'all. It's time to start Like It or Not, so make sure that you stay tuned. It's about to go down.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Ooh, look at that queen. Slow that thing, queen. Slow that thing.
I had to get her right. You see, yesterday she wasn't in rhythm. Today she got a little beat to her. She got a little something.
Right.
So, but good morning. How are you guys this morning?
Doing good, Rebecca. How about yourself?
Now that we're graced with you, queen, we are all cool and the
Look, you be gassing me up every morning. I be leaving here like, okay, like, Lord, where are the people in Georgia? Like, where are the people in Georgia, Bubba? Where they at? Because
they at though?
I get a new hairstyle and they be like, hey, what's up? Something different? It's a new week. Like, but no, it is Thursday, and lately, you guys, I've been playing thermostat wars with the AC joint because I don't know how to balance in my home because it's like 1,000 degrees outside at 6 a.m. and then it's like 900 degrees outside around 10 p.m. So I don't know what to do. Are you guys having that same issue in your homes? I don't know where you're at, Carl. Where are you at?
I'm in the state of Maryland.
Okay, so you're in Maryland. Oh, nice. Okay. All right. Look, we ain't even know that. We ain't even know where you were in the world.
Okay, look.
Tell them, Dr. Mack, our AC works fine up here.
Trust and believe, we doing just fine up here.
Okay, good.
Look,
good.
Always.
We're down here. I'm about 10 miles outside of D.C.
Okay. All right. D.C.
Okay.
I got a few friends over there from Maryland and met them all at, on the Hill at Florida A&M University. Good people. But Bubba, are you having issues with your thermostat? Are you
so,
I can't get it right.
Let me tell you the issue I'm having now. Like most times my AC is so cold that it's like annoyingly cold. Yeah. But yesterday, my AC last night, I discovered it decided it wanted to go the hell out.
In the middle of this heat wave pandemic, because this is a pandemic in itself, okay?
It's yes,
terrible.
So I got up and looked at the thermostat. I'm like, wait, now it's normally colder than this. It's on 74, but the temperature in the house say 79. I'm like, what the hell? So now I didn't call the people. Now I'm just waiting. So right now it's okay. But
that's why you looking. You got a little gloss going on to your skin right now. It's a little dewy in the house. It's a little dewy in the house. But yeah,
I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah, it's hot. People are driving crazy, so be careful when you're outside in Georgia. You know how people get when they don't have AC in their own cars. They start driving a little reckless, a little wild. Can't listen to R&B music in the heat. This can't be the same heat that our ancestors are working underneath, because I can't even take it. This is how I know. Like, this right here is ridiculous.
This
okay,
right
so I can't even imagine what our ancestors are working in. It's probably 10 times worse, but I can't even take this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, so be careful out there in these streets. Do not play R&B music. If you have to, drive in silence, okay? Or listen to something that gets your blood, going. Because if you're in this heat trying to listen to love songs and R&B music, it's not going to mix well. It's not going to mesh. You don't even realize it. So stay in silence.
All I can say, Queen, is that if you're not feeling good, you're damn sure looking good.
Thank you, because I'm feeling good this morning. I mean, it's a little warm. I told y'all, but I'm feeling good.
It ought to be warm because you're looking hot.
Thank you. Thank you. Now. Keep it up. Keep it up. We gotta have you on every day. Being gone.
No, y'all, hey, you and DJ, y'all ain't bringing me into your ratchetness. I saw what you did when, Daddy's gone. Let's do what we do. No, y'all ain't bringing me in that shit. I ain't having it.
No. We're keeping it professional, okay? Well, what is
Dr. Mac, you here?
What is just the kids? But there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the news. We're still talking COVID, because COVID right now is still a thing. And with this Delta variant, it is something that we need to continuously talk about and discuss. There is no reason why we should leave this behind. There is no reason why we should leave this conversation behind. And I think right now, what's even funnier is that we have people who have been speaking against it, actually taking to helping build this conversation in today's Delta variant days. Let's see the Officer Daniel Hodges. He pleads with committee for results, doubling down on COVID. Is that right, David? Because it's a little confusing in this in this here. But if it is, January 6th. All right, listen. It's a little confusing for me in here. So listen, January 6th, that's another story. We have COVID stories and we have the January 6th stories. January 6th is also an important story because that's still going on, even though they want that to go away as well. And the officers, now here it is, the officers that were involved. This is a story that we're going to start this morning with. The officers that were involved, who were protecting the people from the terrorists that were at the Capitol, jumping folks. One person even died. People losing their lives, cops literally being abused by people who said they wanted to protect America. These people came and spoke about it, okay? And they're pleading for people to get results for what happened to them. And they actually told the real, true story. Let's take a listen at what the officer said.
As patrol officers, we can only deal with the crimes that happen on the streets. You guys are the only ones we've got to deal with crimes that occur above us. I need you guys to address if anyone in power had a role in this, if anyone in power coordinated or aided or abetted or tried to downplay, tried to prevent the investigation of this terrorist attack, because we can't do it. We're not allowed to. The majority of Americans are really looking forward to that as well.
Okay, so I watched a few of the clips. I don't know if we have the other clip, David, of the black officer and his account. I know that we spoke about the incident, right after. And it was that particular officer that a few days later that spoke with, I believe it was Good Morning America, and saying his account of the whole situation. He was like, listen, you guys are saying it was like this, but I was right in the midst of it. And these people were ready to kill. These people were ready to attack. and they looked at me and as if I was nothing, pushed me to the side. And I was trying to barricade these doors. I was trying to protect. I was trying to keep everything together. So anyways, just hearing these people plead, these police officers speak from this particular side. Now, I'm not somebody who is pro, officers or anything like that, but I'm also about the one, I'm also going to respect the ones who do their job, right? I'm also going to make sure that we give credit where credit is due. Police officers who are really put in place to protect and serve. I'm talking about risking their lives by people who were crashing the Capitol, the same ones who were rocking the thin blue line, who are saying, blue lives matter every single day, right? But in that particular moment, they literally looked these blue lives in the eyes and was like, get the hell out of my way, or you can get it too. So in this particular instance, hearing what went down from the view of the officers who were there is very special, I think. And I think it helps us look more at how hypocritical Americans and America is. The people who support, say they want to ride for America. It's the people who say they want to push through and see a better America. It definitely shows us how, to me, how hypocritical America is. Do you guys have anything to add to that? Did you watch
Rebecca, one of the things that you brought up yesterday, which I thought was so important, and I had no idea about it, so I went and looked into it a little bit more. When we were talking about that fool, Charlie Kirk, when he's talking about Sister Simone, quote, losing, as though, losing is, I just can't believe it. And then when you said that his organization sponsored 80 buses to take those folks down there, why? Because, as we look at these issues around January 6th, it was clear, based on what Negative 45 said and all of his surrogates said, they felt like the election was stolen. They could not accept, quote, losing. And so because they couldn't accept it, they went down there and had a terrorist attack against democracy. So for this fool, if ever the word hypocrisy, he wants to wear the American flag on his hat. He wants to talk about the spirit of American competition. Fool, you lost an election, and let's not get it twisted. He had that tweet up there announcing that they're in such support of taking back America that they sponsored 80 buses. Let's not forget that. And so what is amazing to me is that this fool was behind the scenes. As they say, when you want to know about the crime, follow the money. Well, when you follow the money, you find that his money was a part of putting those terrorists down there on January 6th, putting those folks in harm's way. And ultimately, 5 people died as a result. Charlie, that blood's on your hands, player. Yeah. That blood is on your hands. So before you start worrying about Simone and any other sister in our community, you need to deal with the blood that is placed on your hands.
Yeah. And both 2 other officers, the officers that I was discussing that was on the interview, I believe, on Good Morning America in the beginning, back in January, his name is Henry Dunn. And he's next in the next clips that we're going to see, discussing their hopes on what they want to happen as far as the results of getting justice and getting more of their account of what actually happened on January 6th. Let's take a look.
The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful. Being an officer, you know your life is at risk whenever you walk out the door, even if you don't expect otherwise law-abiding citizens to take up arms against you. But nothing, truly nothing, has prepared me to address those elected members of our government who continue to deny the events of that day, and in doing so, betray their oath of office. Those very members whose lives, offices, staff members I was fighting so desperately to defend. A lot of these events happened in plain sight. We had violent political rhetoric. We had the organization of a rally. The title was Stop the Steal. And that rally occurred on January 6th, which I don't believe was a coincidence. In the academy, we learn about time, place, and circumstance in investigating potential crimes. The time, the place, and the circumstances of that rally, that rhetoric, and those events, to me, leads in the direction of our president and other members. What I am looking for is an investigation into those actions and activities which may have resulted in the events of January 6th. So whether or not there was collaboration between those members, their staff, and these terrorists.
So what I ask from you all is to get to the bottom of what happened. I use an analogy to describe what I want as a hitman. If a hitman is hired and he kills somebody, the hitman goes to jail. But not only does the hitman go to jail, but the person who hired them does. There was an attack carried out on January 6th, and a hitman sent them. I want you to get to the bottom of that.
So that's okay. So that's Henry Dunn. And then the first officer was Michael Fanone. Both of their comments to me were super powerful, and they were super necessary because, although Henry Dunn's clip was pretty short, I think what he said, and which he said more, but I think what he said in that particular moment, listen, they hired the person who did it, and they hired the hitman, the person the person who hired the hitman. So the person associated with it, anybody who was an accomplice, everybody should be held accountable, and there should be some kind of reprimand for these people. But it's almost like when they came, and the fact that the FBI asked us to assist them and helping find these people also was very questionable to me. We're talking about the FBI, people who can find anyone, like anybody, wherever you are. Anyone. Like police officers do investigations, FBI does this, detectives got this. I mean, we have the power to find each and every person. You got facial recognition situations. I'm talking in grainy situations. You got we have the technology to find, right? You got kids putting out their parents on the TikTok. It's all out there. It's all out there. Yet a lot of these police officers that America swears up and down that they love and they protect and they'll ride for, and Blue Lives Matter. In this particular moment, none of those Blue Lives Matter, because those terrorists didn't really have an agenda but to terrorize. To me, it was just, what was the reason? The reason didn't even make sense. You're fighting for a president who isn't president. This man did not do what all you guys lost a life. Lost a life. A woman was literally breaking in. What did you think was going to happen? Breaking into the Capitol. You guys planned to attack and terrorize officials, Capitol officials. You plan to you guys brought what was it? The little the zip ties. You took away the emergency buttons from underneath our leaders' desks. What was the motive? Was the motive to kill? Was the motive to attack? For Donald Trump, who did not win, who isn't president. Go ahead, Dr. Carl Mack.
Negative 45, and Sister Zora Queen, I want us to continue to put the ties together. See, Brother Fanone said they had a slogan called Stop the Steal. Mm-hmm. See, and then now he's talking about we need to know everybody who was collaborating there. Charlie Kirk, when you paid for them 80 buses, you knew that you was paying for 80 buses to go down there to, quote, stop the steal. You sponsored those insurrectionists. That blood is on your hands, Charlie Kirk. That investigation needs to come right to you. But then again, if you're on YouTube or whoever it is that's sponsoring you, paying you, getting you all pursed up, and if they don't do anything about you, the mere fact that you were part of an attack on American democracy, if that is not worthy of you paying a severe penalty, at a minimum, you no longer deserve a mic to be on here. You ought to be broadcasting from a CB radio player, but your blood is on that hands because according to Michael Fanone, you were a collaborator. You sponsored 80 buses to, quote, stop the steal. You were all up in there. And now, you know, Queen, you also said about them attacking Blue while they were there. Well, there's a tape that Michael Fanone, there's a voice recording that Michael Fanone got. They not only, even while he was giving testimony, there was a white racist who called his cell phone and left one of the most incredible, derogatory, insulting and threatening voicemails one could ever listen to. And when we listen to this, I want us to go ahead and play that, but I want to tell you where his narrative came from. So David, if we could, or Dwayne, if we could, just go ahead and play portions of that voicemail.
I can slap you up the side of your head with a backhand and knock you out, you little You're a punk. You're a lying. How about all that scummy black scum for 2 years, destroying our cities and burning them and stealing all that shit out of the stores and everything? How about that, and assaulting cops and killing people? How about that, you That was the goddamn Capitol. I wish they would have killed all you scumbags, because you people are scum. They stole the election from Trump, and you know that, you scumbag. And you too bad they didn't beat the shit out of you more. You're a piece of shit. You're a little you scumbag.
Now, Sister Rebecca, in the early part of it, this caller described these law enforcement officers as actors. Yeah. I'm going to tell you where they got that rhetoric from, where they got that narrative from. You tune over into Fox News, and that is the exact language that they're saying, is that they went and found these officers to come in and give this Academy Award performance, as if that was the issue. So that same narrative that's coming out of there, this is what these people are operating on. This is how Charlie Kirk was able to get these folks on the 80 bus and send them down there to, quote, stop the steal. Now Fox News, who should be responsible, they too are responsible for that phone call, because when you look at the rhetoric that they're pushing out and you listen to that message in its entirety, he is basically taken. They placed the fuel there, and they've now inspired him to be the match to light it up. And to your point about all that technology, the FBI should be able to find who, because I doubt very seriously that this bumpkin was smart enough to have used a burner phone. So they should be able to find who made that call and go bring his little punk ass to the table, like it or not.
And you know what, Dr. Mack? The reason why the FBI hasn't been able to find anybody, because they're too busy. They're looking in the wrong place. It's not that they're looking in the wrong place. They know what they're doing. But if you look at the rhetoric between all of the officers that are talking, the rhetoric is the people in front of us that we're testifying to are the ones that need to go ahead and admit what the hell you did and play your position and play your part. Because it was some people that's in that damn building that had something to do with all of that. The rhetoric is very strong. Okay, y'all need to go ahead and turn yourselves in. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And I like the way Officer Fanone slammed that table and said,
yes,
any of you sitting here who wants to try to change the narrative here, you too ought to be ashamed, not worthy of it, because I don't care how you cut it, but trust and believe that the narrative is trying to be changed as though this wasn't all that. And Queen, I think when you were talking about doubling down, there was a congressional member who made the statement that this was nothing more than, when you look at the footage, this looks like a tour going through the White House. And then he was challenged. And then he said, no, if you're going to challenge me on that, use my exact words. And so the other representative got the paper and read his exact words. And then he said, and I stand by that.
Yeah,
I stand by
the representative you're talking about is Jamie Raskin. He pressed Representative Andrew Clyde out of Georgia on a comment comparing insurrection to a normal tourist visit. Let's take a look at that.
And think about that. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And those officers said they weren't tourists, they were terrorists. Do you stand stand by your statement that they were tourists?
I would like you to quote my exact statement, not your interpretation of my statement.
Watching the TV footage of those who entered the Capitol and walked through Statuary Hall showed people in an orderly fashion staying between the stanchions and ropes, taking videos and pictures. You know, if you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit. Those are your words.
And I stand by that exact statement as I said it.
Do you agree or disagree with the officers who spent 4 or 5 hours battling that medieval mob? Do you stand by the statement that the people that they were fighting were tourists, or would you agree with them that they were terrorists?
That statement did not say that those people were tourists.
Yeah, you've got the opportunity to clarify for the whole country right now. Officer Fanone, who experienced traumatic brain injury, who had a heart attack after he was tased by some of the tourists or terrorists. Officer Dunn, Officer Hodges, do you think that what they experienced was an attack by tourists or terrorists or violent insurrectionists? You got the opportunity to clarify for the whole country right now.
If you will read the first part of my statement.
I'm not interested in that. I'm asking you.
You're not interested in my statement, are you?
The whole country and lots of people online believed your statement that it was a normal tourist visit.
That is not my statement.
Okay, the people who attacked Officer
You're not
Hodges,
listening to my statement.
So
that got heated.
The question was asked in like 10 different ways. And what, the answer that stuck out to me was, I'm sticking right beside my statement. You're well, okay, sir. So, and he gave him opportunity and more opportunity to clarify. So you're saying on the national television, on Beyonce's internet in the good year of 2021, that you believe that those people out there on January 6th, we need to label them from the bird's eye view, okay? From the camera shots that we were looking at on television, on the news. It looked like tourists. It looked nothing more. It looked like they were tourists at the Capitol. Is that what you're saying? Is that what the terrorist attack looked like? Tourists, right? Is that what you said? And then he kept saying, that's exactly what I said, but let me say what I said. And then kept referring back to my statement, and I'm going to stick beside it. Here's the problem. There are two problems. This man's from Georgia. We always got terrible representation out of here. We have great representation, right, but we have a lot of the ones that got the mouth that people give the megaphones to. Terrible representation. And his name is Andrew Clyde again. He's Representative Andrew Clyde. And the person that was questioning him was Representative Jamie Raskin, who is out of Maryland. So I think the issue for me here is that these people will put this out there. And I've been saying since day one right here on Like It or Not, okay, that this needs to be, I don't even like the referring to it as an insurrection, because that is not a term that many people know or understand. And to me, it gives it a little bit of fluff, right? It gives it a little bit of like, maybe, that was like, just people gathering up, fighting for America. It just gives it that. That's what the feeling it gives me. That was a whole terrorist attack. You know why? We need to make sure we put what it is out there. We put the effect that it had on people out there. That's a terrorist attack. That is the domestic terrorist attack right here on American soil by Americans themselves who marched up to the Capitol on January 6th. Did you not hear the account of Officer Fanone? That man said he got tased, had a heart attack. Okay, all these people are going to have these mental issues, these PTSD. That's why he slammed his hands on the table, because he can't fathom or understand how there is not most of those people are still walking around, are free, going to their jobs, sleeping in their beds, while he has to deal with what happened on that day every single day. He has to relive it mentally.
Wayne, let me put it like this. Let me put it like this. There's a couple of things. Number one, see, I love when Clyde doubled down and said, no, quote my comments. And then Raskin said, player, I got the receipt right here for you. So here it is. Right here. And he brings the receipts. I love when you bring the receipts. But now here's the other thing I wanted to put, because I love the way that you said, sometimes we kind of forget and maybe not understand the term insurrectionist. So let's put it this way. When the terrorist attack of 9/11 hit, not even Al-Qaeda was able to take the halls of Congress. These terrorists did what Al-Qaeda couldn't do. Al-Qaeda didn't even take the halls of Congress. These terrorists took the halls of Congress. We're talking about terror, America. Like it or not, you're terrorist.
They're terrorists. I need people to understand that this is 100. I don't know, when we say terrorists, especially in America, what we do is associate them with brown folks, right? Brown folks, particularly from the Middle East, right? Well, people didn't want to, if there was for a long time a stigma that was created till this day. If people get on a plane and may see somebody with the hijab on or somebody with cultural clothing from the Middle East on a plane, okay, they're literally gonna feel some kind of way. There's so many viral videos of them being attacked, people saying they don't want to get on a plane. I remember there was, and I'm not gonna say her name on here, but I remember there was a particular comedian, Black comedian, that even said she felt afraid. She felt afraid because there was someone from the Middle East on the plane. Mm-hmm. This conversation was created, this type of vibe, this energy was created by America. And they literally, when you think about terrorism, when you think about a terrorist, we just go straight into people from the Middle East. Remember the ban that Donald Trump did with mostly countries from the Middle East, brown folks? Literally, that to me is something that America will always do when it comes to Black folks. Of course, we're inferior. That's us, right? We're ghetto, we're thugs, we're inferior. People from the Middle East are thugs. Spanish people are immigrants, and they're all Mexican, and they're immigrants, and they're coming here and stealing jobs. That's what they do. But Americans will never label themselves what they are, and it's most of those things. You guys are terrorists. You guys are the ones that are thugs, and a lot of you guys probably can't. Ben always says this, which I love. Can't even trace your lineage as far back as a lot of Black Americans in this country. So, let's call a thing, people. Okay? Those people that marched up to the Capitol were damn terrorists. I don't care because their skin was white. We need to give them a fluffy name. The insurrectionists on January 6th. That's kind of like when they put up pictures of a Black person who did something wrong, right? Black man steals a toy from the toy store to give to his kid, but they have his picture looking crazy, right? And a white man does it, and they'll say 21-year-old boy, because they have to make it 21-year-old boy steals a toy because he couldn't get his child something for Christmas. More on that coming up at 6 p.m. Like all of that. They make it nice and fluffy and a picture of him with his family. Mind you, this man done murdered mad people before he got to the toy store to get the damn toy for his kid. Okay? So that's what we're doing. Now, we're going to call a thing, people, right here on Like It or Not. These people, I always will refer to them as terrorists. Period. And they need to be held accountable. They need all of them. There's room. If there's room for overcrowding these jails, let's go ahead. Add them people to them jails. Add them people to the jails. All right.
And Queen, like I said, just think about that. Bin Laden couldn't get there, but Trump and his terrorists got there. Mm-hmm. Bin Laden couldn't do what Trump and his terrorists did. That is about as serious of an attack on democracy, and you could not put it in more aptly. Terrorists, that's what it was. Plain and simple. Let's not dress it up as insurrectionists, and just keep in mind what y'all fools did on January 6th. Al-Qaeda and Bin Laden couldn't do it, but y'all did it.
That says a whole lot.
It says a lot. It says exactly what it needs to say because we're living amongst terrorists. These people have been terrorizing since their inception here in this country, which they stole. I mean, Jesus Christ, like these people have been this way since the beginning of time. If nothing goes their way, if they didn't create it, if they didn't make it, one thing about Black folks. We go out there and we protest peacefully and we get killed. Okay. We get shot with rubber bullets. We have one of our own, Georgia Fort, who was on the scene. She's one of the on the field journalists who have been covering a lot of these protests surrounding George Floyd. This is a mother of three, a wife who has to go home, right? And she got shot up with rubber bullets for covering these protests, for covering these stories. Right. So, but these people, where was the protection on this day? These officers weren't even prepared for what was going to happen. And some other officers literally hid in plain sight and joined in on the terrorist attack.
But Queen, you know the other part. You know the other part that is absolutely disturbing behind this is that the Republican leadership, Mitch McConnell and McCarthy, when asked about the testimony of what they 100 times out of it, they're going to call men and women in uniform heroes. But when these heroes testified before Congress on something as serious as an attack on democracy, and when they were asked about these officers' testimony, both Mitch McConnell and McCarthy said, I didn't watch it. What do you mean you didn't watch this? This is one of the most, never in our lifetime have we seen terrorists take the halls of Congress. And on these congressional hearings, you didn't watch it? See, by saying you didn't watch it, you're just dismissing it. You're absolutely dismissing what your party, what your leader, Negative 45, inspired, what Kirk paid for, what Giuliani encouraged, you and your surrogates, and all of them like that encouraged. No, I ain't never gonna let up off you, fool. You paid for it. 80 buses, you tweeted. Come on and sue me for it. You the one put the tweet out there, so I'm gonna always remind you that you did, Kirk. You did what Bin Laden couldn't do. You paid for it. You attacked the halls of Congress. You are a terrorist sponsor, like it or not.
You ain't gonna let that go with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but
yesterday.
I'm gonna tell you something. He came after your sister, Queen. I ain't never gonna let that fool go.
Yeah, no, don't let it go. Because people don't know.
Don't let it go. Of terrorism, little Kirk. You are a sponsor of terrorism. You were involved in it directly. You were proud to say, we're going to stop the steal. I'm going to pay for it. You are a terrorist.
You are a terrorist, Charlie Kirk.
You are a terrorist, Charlie.
You're trash. You're a terrorist, and you should not. This is what I'm saying. The feds literally have this tweet. There was a point in time.
All of the money.
What they were calling. This was a few years ago. This is back when Black people were being tweeting out things like, "Man, I don't even want to f the police." You know, f the police, F12, and feds would be like, "F12, f the police." And they were putting this into a Black extremist group. And Ben used to talk about this all the time. He was like, the FBI, the feds, are looking into people who are saying things like F the police and calling them pigs or speaking against certain movements. And so they're putting them in these groups called, I think, the Black extremist group. And Ben would always talk about this, saying that they probably have a file on him for discussing a lot of the things that he discussed.
Oh, I know they got one on me, Queen.
I'm pretty sure. And they probably got one on me too now. I don't even know. But Bubba, you might be in it too. Okay? Listen, Haitian by association. Okay?
Right.
I'm gonna tell you what, this file that we got, Charlie Kirk, you J6, baby. That's what we're gonna call you. Charlie Kirk, you J6.
He needs to have a file. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
All of his stuff is literally out there. This man he stated sending out 80 buses full of folks out there to fight for America, to fight for democracy, to fight for freedom. So here, this is what he tweeted out. This man, this guy has, had enough money to rent out, to buy out 80 buses full of people to go and be, to potentially go kill, to go kill, steal, and destroy. That's exactly what those people did. Those people literally went up to a place that they want to serve and protect. Black folks, we wouldn't have made it. If we came as a unit, we wouldn't have made it up the stairs. We would have been shot down. It would have been a bath before we could make it up the steps. Okay?
And trust and believe this, Queen. Whenever this country knows that another country is sponsoring terrorist activity, they freeze those accounts, they lock them down. Well, little Charlie Kirk, you paid to stop the steal. You paid for terrorism. You paid for it. So where's this country locking you down financially? Where are they attacking you? But Charlie Kirk, I don't care how you cut it. You's a paid terrorist sponsor. You paid for terrorists. Like it or not, we ain't never gonna. I'm gonna tell you something. You stepped on our sister. We gonna step on your monkey ass from now on. You'll never get a break from us, little Charlie. Never. Every move you make.
Little Charlie. Now, it's funny because the way that you're going after Charlie Kirk reminds me of how Ben always comes after Ben Shapiro. They're one and the same to me. They are all I think complicit in a lot of things that have been going down in the past year, from COVID-19 misinformation being spread to the terrorist attack right in January, pushing those people out there on the front lines to go and possibly kill a lot of people that day. I think another thing that's an issue, and we'll talk about this and go to break, but is the qualified immunity. A lot of these officers are walking around for free because they are protected by law. No matter what they did in that particular moment that makes them wrong, they're protected. And these other officers who could be protected under qualified immunity too are like, hell nah, ain't no brotherhood right now. We're not talking about, if you not talking about protecting me in that particular moment, I can't speak about brotherhood. We got to talk about the real that happens, okay? Regardless of right or left or red or blue, bruh, I almost lost my life.
Right.
And y'all sitting around here as my brothers, as people that said they were going to protect me, but y'all was a part of that. And we need to call it out. We need to say what really happened, because if it's not for our account, the narrative is going to be different in those history books. Okay? We already know what's happening with critical race theory. They don't even want to discuss what happened on January 6th. But they want to continue to keep the lies going about Christopher Columbus. They want to keep these lies going about what truly happened, how Thanksgiving came about. Okay, they want to keep these lies going about the different holidays and what America was really built on. Who really built a lot of these monuments, right? This is what we need to talk about. We need to talk. This is the truth of the matter. And these police officers have seen the light. Okay, they have seen the light. They want to stay on the force, but they want to make sure that, okay, listen. A lot of what happened is exactly what people have been talking about for years. And I've seen it with my own eyes. And I would be doing a disservice to this country as an officer of the law if I don't say what really happened. Regardless of what's about to protect my brotherhood, it ain't about that no more, because they didn't protect me on that particular day.
I tell you what, they certainly understand right now. Those officers who testified, for just a moment, but for that moment, during that terrorist attack, you got to feel what it was like to be black since the day we've been in this country. You now understand.
That damn right.
They didn't give a damn about your, and trust and believe this. And here's what's even more hypocritical and sinister about those members in Congress, McCarthy and McConnell. You always want to talk about the men and women who serve and protect this country abroad, our military veterans. But look at what you and the Republican Party did. First of all, -45, just absolutely just disrespected John McCain, a war hero, a war veteran who's saying that he was a coward because he got caught. That's what the Republican Party did. And now today, McConnell and McCarthy, what did you do? See, not only are these members of law enforcement here locally, but a couple of these brothers are military veterans. Where's their heroism now? Why didn't you take the time to sit down and listen to a couple of heroes who have sacrificed to protect and defend this nation? Oh, you were so busy that you couldn't hear them. I'm going to tell you why you couldn't hear those heroes. Because those heroes were talking about what your party did to instigate and incite a terrorist attack to do what bin Laden couldn't do. Your party incited them to go and attack the very halls of Congress. I want to hear what you got to say, Pence. I want to hear what you got to say. When the man that you served number 2 under, the man that you looked at with such adoration and nodded at everything in affirmation about what he said. I want to hear what you got to say, Pence, about what happened on J6 when they were screaming, lynch Pence. I want to know what you got to say, especially when heroes are telling you what their experience were. But you have a perspective too. And see, this is the hypocrisy of American democracy. And little Charlie, you are a terrorist sponsor. Like it or not.
It just cracks me up. It's just like little Charlie. Yes. But all of the above. We can go for days on this particular January 6th conversation because every time I talk about it, and I love that the police officers called it a terrorist attack, and while everybody else been calling it the insurrection, and I love that them themselves that were there said it was a terrorist attack. It's a terrorist attack, people. It's a terrorist attack. You can find a million videos of me, Like It or Not, saying y'all could call it insurrection, but I'm gonna call it a terrorist attack because that's what it was. Bubba, take us to a quick break. We'll be right back after this, discussing COVID-19 for real, right here on Like It or Not.
Make sure y'all stay tuned, y'all. Again, my sister Rebecca over there on fire. And so is Dr. Mac, y'all. And I will say Harry Dunn is a tall, fine-ass man. I digress, though. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to drop this gem on y'all, though. Hey. Ooh, baby. Feel like the world is on my side. Nothing can bring me down tonight. Right, like 6'7", 7 feet, yeah. Ooh, baby. When we're together, you and I, your touch sends chills down my spine. All right. Laura, you know I don't have no sense. I got love. All right, y'all, make sure that y'all hit that like button wherever you are. Hit that like button wherever you're streaming from. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Shout out to everybody, y'all. Mara, what's going on, sister? Good morning. And an angel. Breath 1984. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Just to see how your halo shines, baby. Shout out to Ben in the chat room. Ben, what's going on, brother? We miss you, sir. Ben is on the road right now going to Ohio to do that work, man, with Nina Turner. Be careful out there, brother Ben. We love you, sir. To a new level. It's heaven and I found my angel. Come on. David, I'm coming to you. Hey, Dwayne, when we bring Rebecca back on screen, we're going to show that image that David just shared, okay? Angel. Find an angel. Angel. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the screen. Our sister from another mister and my brother from another mother, Sister Rebecca and Brother Mac. Y'all, Dr. Mac.
Brother Mac.
Dr. Mac.
Brother Mac. Brother Dr. Dr. Mac.
But listen, before we go into the harder stuff, just a little light news. Have you all seen that that they did a story on Richard Williams called King Richard, starring Will Smith?
Yes.
yes.
I did see a clip of that. Yes.
Ooh, I heard the trailer was so tough that they already talking Oscar nomination. But listen, I believe, and I want to go inside my humility, but I'm gonna step out in my vanity for a minute. Richard Williams' accomplishment for what he did with them two sisters, his two baby girls, was so remarkable. DJ, I think you and I could have played that role, and we could have been in that Oscar talk. His story is so phenomenal that I think we could have. Now, Brother Will, I ain't trying to dismiss you. I'm sure you did a great job. But brother, you had a phenomenal story, and I'm so glad to see a story like this come to light. And I can't wait to see the movie to make sure that they did King Richard just. Phenomenal.
I can't wait. To see it either. I saw the clip yesterday, circulating through social media, and seeing, at first I'm like, Richard Williams, who is that? The name didn't register to me because the way they just said, a movie highlighting Richard Williams. And I'm like, because, we know Serena, we know Venus Williams, right. So we know that name first. So, but then when they showed the clip, I said, oh, the daddy. Okay. And just, right. I love how they have him. I love how Will Smith really shows the empowerment of Black fathers. Yes. One thing that we don't see much of, which is not something that is, I don't like the way that, social media, societal norm will make this normal to make it seem like Black fathers aren't Black fathering. I don't know, but been since the beginning of time, they've been Black fathers have been Black fathers. So I can't wait to see how this is portrayed and how, he fought for his daughters. He taught his daughters, he strengthened his daughters, he protected his daughters. And I can't wait to see that just play out, because even in that, I think it was a 15-second clip, I was like, oh, yes, Will! Give us Richard! Let us know who that man really was. Like, give that to us. Give us the Black dad. I can't wait to see it.
But Queen, let me say this too. Now, just as many didn't know, now I'm in a different category because I've always recognized what what King Richard was doing, because I remember, and I hope that they accurately portray how hard the tennis world came down on him, talking about he's arrogant and he's so protective and all of these things. But truth be told, he was an absolute prophet. But I also hope that they pay homage to their mother, Orsine, because she was the one, while he was developing them physically within the game of tennis, she was working on that mindset to make those sisters queens so that they can join the ranks. And now we got Queen Azor and the Queen Williams sisters.
All right, listen, we all out here. Look, it's a lot of Black queens in sports, Black queens in television, Black queens in social media space. Listen, we out here, and there's a lot of Black kings in all of those spaces as well. Listen, shouts out to our guy Dwayne, who's in the background, Black king, who makes sure that we are together. Shouts out to Benjamin Dixon, our Black king, who was on the road now, taking a chance, because y'all know he's scared of COVID-19, but he's out here in these streets, about to go work it and get our girl Nina Turner out there at a congressional seat. And, we got you, Dr. Carl Mack, who's been introduced to us, who taught us a lot about Black history just in the short time that we've known you. And we got you, Black King, Mr. DJ.
I even got the crown behind my head. You see?
It's always on top. It's always sitting right up in there.
It's always on top.
Mr. DJ. You right here, you give us everything that we need every day. You give us that balance. It's a lot of us out here. Listen, I want to make sure that we continue to change the narrative when it comes to the conversation about who we are in these spaces, because we're all royalty, but we all have our gifts and how we can share it to the world. There's things that I don't have that you have, Dr. Carl Mack. There's things that you have, Bubba, that I ain't got. I just ain't got it, right? I ain't got it. There's things that Ben has that I ain't got. Okay.
But Queen, I'm gonna say this now on behalf of King DJ and King Carl. We like the things you got that we ain't got.
Oh God, this is not the.
I mean, some of them anyway.
Oh my bad. And before we go on, and we also gonna recognize that we got a king from another family, King David. Welcome to the family.
King David.
Look, David, I know he was over there like, I know I'm not Black, but, Rebecca, I'm here too. David, okay? David.
But he's still a king.
We know
he's still a king.
Rebecca,
we love you, David.
For you to sit through all of this, because, a lot of people like to be like, all they do is talk about white people. Well, we have white people that work with us, for us, around us, who help us out every day. We love them. I mean, it's just like, if he understands the conversation, I don't know why it's hard for a lot of you guys, or I don't know why you guys take offense to things that's true. David is a whole white man. White. And he's right here helping us build these stories every single day. So
he's part of the royal family. King David.
Mm-hmm. King David. Okay, King David.
King David. So, and Dwayne, what you was about to say, Dwayne?
I was going to say Rebecca wanted a clip of some Black Joy, so it's short, but here you go.
Okay. Thank you.
I love your hair. Thank you. You're welcome. It's an afro.
Oh, she's so adorable.
She is adorable.
It's the afro. I love your hair. Thank you.
It's the
afro. Yes, sweetheart. Let them know. Hey, rock your crown.
Hey, Dwayne, show the other clip of Black Joy for Rebecca as well, too. The other picture. Boom, Rebecca, Black Joy right there in the middle, right there. 6'7", 7 foot.
This is my problem with y'all. Benjamin Dixon is not here. You guys are on the loose. You guys are wild. Okay, this is 6'7". About a few months ago, when this story came out, I was like, "How tall is he? Is he about 6'7"?" And it looks like he's about 7 feet, maybe like 6'7", 6'8". He's giving tall, and while he is tall and fine. How can people have pushed this man down? He felt threatened. If he felt threatened that day, that lets us know it was definitely a lot of terror going on. It wasn't tourism, it was terror. Okay? This is fine king of a man. They pushing down and stuff. Get him off the street.
A whole 6'7".
Whole 6'7" man. COVID-19, guys. COVID-19. Now, again, we're getting into this conversation for sure, because I know I started off the show saying that we're going to talk about it, but we're talking about it. It's right here, right now. So McConnell, Tucker, Waters, twist as usual, but in disgusting ways, talking about COVID-19. Let's take a look.
And after the Biden administration was very eager to claim ownership and spike the football on the vaccination trajectory, which they largely inherited from Republican leadership, we've now seen vaccination rates in many places plateau. Things were set up for a roaring success like no other presidential transition in recent memory.
We have long ago left the realm of public health. This is about politics and it's about social control. The Biden administration has decided it owns your body. If the rest of us allow that grotesque claim to go unchallenged, we are in deep trouble going forward. Government should never require people to submit to any medical procedure, whether that procedure is sterilization or frontal lobotomies or COVID vaccinations. Nicolae Ceausescu barked orders at his guards as they dragged him into the courtyard to be shot. In his final moments, Ceausescu seemed convinced he could make his executioners obey. As his power evaporated, he tried even harder to exert it. And with that in mind, we learned today that in the face of the waning pandemic, the Biden administration will dramatically increase COVID restrictions across the country. Millions of children will now be required to cover their faces in schools. This despite the scientifically established fact that masks pose a far greater threat to children than COVID does.
The American people are either scared, confused, or annoyed now. Now no one knows what's going on. It's just too confusing for the American people. If you have deaths that are not rising, actually deaths continue to fall, and if cases are going up a little bit, if you're vaccinated, that's not your problem. But to slap a mask on your face because other people are not vaccinated, that doesn't make any medical sense. And to now mandate vaccines for federal employees when 2/3 of blacks and Hispanics have not been vaccinated, it sounds like they're just now punishing people. You cannot open the southern border to migrants from Mexico and Central America, where they're seeing a big rise in cases, and expect the Delta not to spread. And the Delta is spreading in all these southeastern states where, coincidentally, Joe Biden is busing them into.
Did he say, did I hear that right? Because I feel like it just went in one ear, out the other. Did he say open the borders of Mexico and then the Delta variant starts to spread? Is that what he said?
Open it up. And Biden's doing it.
He said, yeah, so he's basically, these people are giving so much misinformation. Now, this is all coming from Fox News, right? These are 3 different segments, 3 different shows, 3 different people. We got McConnell who started it, which cracks me up because David just called him Marble Mouth, and all I could hear when he was talking is just like marbles in his mouth. And then we got Tuckers and Waters, who twist
little Tucky.
Right, who twist everything up when it comes to COVID-19. It's like now they're saying, and I understand, I can agree with this, that it has been very confusing, right? But I'd rather be on the side of the CDC, no matter how many times they done changed it, because we're not scientists. Right? Things change every day. The Delta variant just pulled up on us. Skirt. It literally spent the block, came back around, and in a new form. Now, they had to get ready for this. They didn't know this was going to happen like this. I mean, they should have, because Americans, we just don't listen. We don't do things right. And that's why we still where we are when it comes to this pandemic, because somebody woke up and said, the pandemic is over for me. It made the pandemic over for everybody else in the world, when the truth is that it's not, or as far as America, when the truth is that the pandemic is something that is still real and true and still going on. So for me, whatever the CDC says, I'm going to rock with it. I remember last March, at the end of February, when I was at that job, and the CDC said about 50 folks, if you're near 50 people or more, get out of there. And I looked around my little cubicle farm over there in that building, and I said, there's about 400 people in here, 400 around me in this particular cubicle farm, in this office. And then right next door, we have about 500, and next door to that, we have, in that whole building, we probably had thousands of people working in that particular minute when I was reading that word from the CDC, okay? And that conversation from the CDC, because they block your cell phone coverage in the building. That came out hours ago. And I'm pretty sure the corporation knew and understood that that was what happened. Yet they didn't give us that information. They wanted to see if the CDC was going to change something. But to me, I was like, I heard 50. It's about over 200 people in this room. I'm out of here. I left. So if the CDC tells me again, Rebecca, you need to put on mask as an American in America, and any stores that you go in, you need to put on your mask, even though you are vaccinated. What am I going to do? Put my mask on, because I believe that I didn't get COVID-19. Probably had it sometime in 2019, though. I don't know, because I was a little sick. But I didn't get COVID-19 during this whole pandemic because I kept my mask on. And everywhere that I went, and I've made sure that if I did go somewhere, I sat at home, took my 2 weeks off, tried to monitor myself. I didn't go see my parents forever. It was a lonely experience, but I made sure that I took care of me because the CDC told me
See,
to.
Queen, let me say this. When they say things keep changing, please let us understand this is a virus. It is a live organism, and it is going to do the same thing. It's going to try and protect itself. So when COVID came out, and then we started figuring out a way to attack it, then it mutated into something else to try to preserve itself. So yes, it is going to change. Now, but let's be clear about this as to how this thing started. He's talking about Marble Mouth, as you so aptly called him, is now talking about how the Biden administration has taken over from this great transition that -45 did. History is very important. So if you don't mind, Queen, let's just go through just a brief history lesson, okay? May 2018, -45 comes in. What's the first thing he does? He disbands the plan that was put in by 44, beautiful 44, by taking away the White House pandemic response team. January 22nd, 2020, -45 says, we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China. It's going to be just fine. 2 days later, -45 doubles down and says, I want to just praise China for doing a wonderful, wonderful job. As we know later, he starts calling it the China flu. On February 10th, 2020, -45 says, I think the virus is going to be, it's going to be fine. Then he comes back in that same day and says, by April, in theory, it's going to get warmer and it's miraculously going to go away. February 24th, -45 says, the coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. Oh, and by the way, the stock market is doing very, very good. Then he comes back 2 days later and says, of the 50, we only got 15 cases in the United States. And within a couple of days, it's going to be down to 0. See, so now that I want the Republican Party, Mitch McConnell, I want you to remember, because we have not forgotten what your party did in mishandling this. You turned this beautiful ham sandwich into a soup sandwich. That's what you did. Like it or not, that's what you did. And now that this thing is out of control, keep in mind what Biden said by the time he came into office. Biden says, by the time my first 100 days is up, I want to have at least 100,000 people vaccinated. So all the efforts, while -45 was putting bleach in his veins or telling people to put bleach in their veins, I watched the beautiful Obama, beautiful Michelle Obama, President Biden, beautiful Sister Harris. I watched all of them put the vaccine in their arms. While beautiful Obama and Sister Obama were wearing masks and Biden and beautiful Harris were wearing masks, I'm hearing you tell people we don't need masks. So there ain't no wonder why all the hot spots are in states run by Republicans who have said for the longest, who is America to tell me that I got to inject myself with a vaccine? Who is America to tell me that I have to wear a mask? It's the same damn American that told you that before your kids go to public schools, they better be vaccinated. You dealt with that. But because you done screwed this shit up so bad, now all of a sudden you want to make it a political issue versus a humanity issue. Like it or not, we keeping track on history with you, -45, and this soup sandwich that you done made with this current pandemic.
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, before I leave this subject, let me remind you, Lil Charlie, you paid for terrorism.
Yes.
Listen, Lil Charlie, okay, Lil Charlie.
Lil Charlie.
We not forgetting Lil Charlie. You paid for terrorism, and on every segment, we gonna let you know. We're gonna let you know you paid for terrorism, and you should be going down. But as far as COVID-19, we have these leaders, like you said, Mitch McConnell. We have Tucker Carlson and Waters, whatever his name is, all working for Fox News. Mitch McConnell, who is a leader in itself, tells us all these people giving us misinformation when it's covering COVID-19. But like you said, taking it back historically from us going into the pandemic, from us getting information surrounding the pandemic, there is a big difference in how all these people were handling the pandemic. So seeing Donald Trump and everything that he did and everything that he was saying and how he tried to downplay COVID-19. And then seeing Biden come in, and as much as I don't like his politics, some of his politics, I'll say some of his politics, the Biden-Harris administration come in, and they said, listen, within our first month, this is what we need. We need you to get vaccinated. This is what the CDC is saying. This is what we're going to follow. We're going to give Fauci back the megaphone and actually listen to what he's saying. These things have happened since Biden has been in office. So it has been something to see with these two different administrations, the leadership, and who's taking it serious when it comes to this, when it comes to COVID-19. And now we're hearing the Delta variant. And now we're hearing the Delta variant. Go ahead.
Help me to understand one thing, though. I know that we can talk about it, and we clearly see the way the Republican Party has dealt with this situation. But now let's bring it home. Help me to understand how the data is showing, based on the pre-existing conditions, the way that this virus has impacted our community. Help me to understand all the reasonings. And again, I get the historical legacy of the Tuskegee experiment. I get that. But how is it that our people are still adverse to taking the vaccine when we're constantly talking about the death toll rise and this new variant coming out? Why are we still stuck on a conspiracy theory that they're finna inject some type of tracking mechanism? They already got a tracking mechanism on you. If you got a credit card, they're tracking you. But so help me to understand what we can do to get our people to wake the hell up and protect themselves. What do we have to do in our community?
So let me say this. It's not only, it is for our people, there is a particular conversation about that. But this rhetoric that's going around from the Fox Newses they also mutate on social media, and they'll go in and with the woke folks, like I know we joked about it on here, but they'll go in and mutate and become something else, literally Rachel Dolezal situation, and be like, okay, black folks, the same conversation and the same narrative that's happening in the white space, it'll just happen in the black space and different, with different wording and things like that. But same thing. These conversations of conspiracy theories for white folks not getting the vaccine is the same thing happening in the black community. I literally watched on one of the biggest social media platforms on Instagram, which is the Shade Room. I'm Shade Room. I'm out there all the time. Okay. And I go through the comment section when I look at prominent news stories being placed on there to see what our black people of all ages are saying. And when it came to the CDC updating and saying the requirements for the mask, they're saying, hey, listen, whether you're in the stores, you're grocery shopping, indoors, anywhere around people, please put on the mask, because vaccinated or not, you still can transmit the Delta variant. I mean, you could still transmit COVID-19. Everyone in the comment section literally was saying, and this is ignorance, although the information is literally there, has been said time and time again. Everyone in the comment section is saying, see what they doing? The government know what they doing. They over here putting out this information knowing they wanted us to get vaccinated. Now they telling us to wear a mask. So is it get vaccinated or not? They're creating that kind of rhetoric out there. Then you have the ones that are saying, now they're telling us to wear a mask, but they wanted us to get vaccinated to put a tracking device in us. Saw that comment. Then they said, so what is it? Why are you guys giving us, why is the CDC giving us misinformation? I thought if we get vaccinated, we wouldn't get sick. Now they're telling us that we gonna pass it on. But that's the thing. That was never said. It has been said since the time and time again of talking about the vaccine. The vaccine will help your behind not die from getting COVID-19. It'll protect you from getting so sick that you're not able to live. That's what it's for. It's to protect you and your immune system, help it fight back, right? As opposed to you not being vaccinated, the chances of being higher for you to end up in the hospital and die. Okay?
Now,
it's been said time and time again by the CDC, by health experts, not that you're not going to get COVID-19 or you can't get COVID-19, but the vaccine protects you from being hospitalized or possibly dying from the disease. So here's my thing about it. All of this for Black people, and we're on the side. I've even heard some people say, we're Black. We've gone through so much without being vaccinated. We're strong. Our race doesn't need to be vaccinated. I've heard people say in my own community, we're Haitian. We don't need vaccines. We've gone through so much already, so much. I've lived in Haiti when there was this disease, and I've lived in Haiti when there was this disease, and now I'm okay. I'm 100%. Here's my thing about it. If you're not going to get vaccinated, that's one thing. It's okay if you understand what vaccines are for. Maybe you have a fear of getting vaccinated. Maybe you have a pre-existing condition. There are those things that tie to it. But do not go out there and help spread the misinformation and say that Black people, because of us being Black and melanated, we don't need to get the vaccine because we're protected, or because our nationality is some other one, like, being a Haitian or African, we're strengthened, in that way, we're tough, we're made tough, so we can't get COVID-19. Yeah, I know Haitians who got COVID-19 and have passed away. Close people to me that have passed away. I know Africans who've got COVID-19 who have passed away. I know people here in Atlanta who went to big events, and who've gotten COVID-19 and who were close to death. I know somebody just recently, I was just talking about a girl who makes money from doing online activities all the time, who goes out, and she said she wasn't going to take the vaccine, which is fine. Yet she didn't take the precautions, though. She was out every day, maskless. Now she is saying that it's hard for her to breathe and she can't break this fever from the Delta variant. So it's one thing not to be vaccinated, but if you're not going to be vaccinated, also follow the precautions for unvaccinated folks under the CDC guidelines. Stay your ass at home, wear your mask when you go into the stores. Don't be around mad people. Save yourself so you can save other people. That's what that's about. So if we have to shut down for Black people to be safe, okay, let's do that, because we're not getting it.
Let's do it.
It's not only us that's not getting it. It's white folks who are not getting it because of the misinformation that's being spread, but it's also us, Black folks, and the way a lot of these stories are being placed online. I looked at another popular page who confuses people too, because one day they're like, go get vaccinated, this and that, but then the next day it's like the headlines are very confusing and it's saying this vaccinated person has the Delta variant, and those kind of headlines give the people like the whole option to create the whole rhetoric of, you see, even vaccinated folks can get it. But that was never the story. They've always said vaccinated folks can get COVID-19.
But see,
can get the Delta variant.
The other thing too, Queen, is what we have to continuously do to remind our community. Remember when COVID first hit, the scientists with the best research that they had to date said that this attack of this virus is primarily impacting the elderly. And when they said that meant to young people, we could just go out and do what we want to do. And so remember what happened down in Florida. Spring break went on just like nothing ever happened. And then all of a sudden, the scientists started realizing, hey, wait a minute, it's not impacting young people yet the way it's dealing with the elderly. However, as a young person, you could be asymptomatic and you can be a carrier of it and take it back home to the elderly. Well, now because of the mutation, look at what the reports are coming in now, that this new strand, this Delta variant, it's now attacking children. It's putting children at risk. So things are going to continuously change. Yes, at one point it was just COVID. You take the vaccine, it may not stop you from dying. It can help you help your immune system where you're not going to get attacked as if you didn't have it. But again, if you just look at the numbers, of all the people who have died, what percentage of those people who died were vaccinated? It is such a small percentage point that you can't even see it. But the percentage of those who did die, 99.5% or better were not vaccinated. So trust and believe, just on sheer numbers, I'm going to take the odds that I am going to take the vaccine versus not taking it, because I clearly see what the data is showing if you don't take this vaccine. So I just think that as much as, we're right to criticize what is going on in the Republican Party, what the leadership of this country did to put us in the situation that we're in. But we also got to keep hammering on our community that you need to move past these conspiracy theories, because the data is not supporting that. And when you don't want to listen to the data, it is no different than the Republican Party also not believing that climate change is real. And trust and believe that day is going to come, like it or not.
Yep, like it or not. That cracked me up. But yes, that day is going to come. I need for our people, and I know that we've always made this call to action, made this push. Y'all, listen. It took me forever to go get vaccinated because I was scared because of my pre-existing condition, and I wanted to watch and see how this was going to go. And I'm by myself, so if something happens to me, I'm like, what? Who's going to find me? All those kind of things that went through my head. But even after the fact, I still go out and I go into the world as if I'm not vaccinated, because at the end of the day, we can still pass it on. Please understand, if you are not familiar with the guidelines, go get familiar. It's okay. It's going to change. Just like Dr. Mack said, this disease changes, right? It finds its way to mutate itself to keep living on. So the CDC will find ways to continue to help us save ourselves as this disease changes. The guidelines will also change. And also, as we don't respect the guidelines, we're going to have to walk it back a few times to square one. Okay, because Americans haven't been doing their thing, haven't been respecting guidelines. And it's not like there are countries who can't respect the guidelines because they do not have the technology. We already know what was happening in India. We saw what was happening in India. We saw that. It was terrifying to see. There are places in Haiti that they don't even know what COVID-19 is. They don't got the knowledge of that. And they don't have the means to getting the vaccine, and even if they don't have the vaccine, they don't have the means to mask. They have to be out every day. They don't have the option not to be out every day because they got to feed their kids and all that, right? Now, us in America, who has been given the options in some cases, at least when it comes to getting vaccinated, or wearing our masks daily when we go out, or keeping the people that we're around to a small number, and quarantining ourselves for a certain amount of times, if we're not going to get vaccinated, all of those, if we were to stick by those rules, if we weren't if the cities that we were in too, if our leadership, I know that this goes into an economical standpoint where a lot of these people are capitalizing on the fact that so many people are home in these towns. So they've opened up. We've had the All-Star games here, and everybody then came to Atlanta. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people left sick as hell. Okay, there was a lot going on in that particular time because our leaders had to fight. And some of them lost those battles. We saw the Atlanta mayor fight to keep things shut down for a minute or keep the mask mandate up, and was battled out by the governor of Georgia and to remove that and make it not mandatory. You see what I'm saying? So there was a battle all up and through here. But us as a people, we need to do what we got to do to protect and save ourselves.
And think about this, sister. Queen, let me say this. Since you talked about other countries, when this pandemic hit, the experts also said that the way that it's going to manifest itself in America is far different from the way that it's going to manifest itself in the country of origin. In this case, we're talking China. We all agree that that's where the virus originated from. Well, there's two different forms of government. In China, it is a communist government. In America, there's a democracy of personal liberties. So in China, they got through this a lot quicker, even though that's where it started. Why did they get through it so much quicker? Because in that communist government, when they said don't come outside, they meant don't come outside. That meant that if you were on the streets in China and the government shot you, they told you. That is what happens in a communist society. They can dictate you don't have the type of personal freedoms that you have in America. So now you take us in America. We can simply ask you not to go outside, because the moment that we start trying to tell you what to do, which is what the Republican Party is doing now, you can't mandate that I get vaccinated. You can't mandate that I have to wear a mask. Well, see, in China, they mandated it. And guess what? In the country that it originated in, they are so far ahead of us. They're not dealing with the issue the way that we are in this country. Like it or not.
Yeah, exactly. In other countries, and yes, the China, where we have all agreed that it came from, or originated from before it got to the U.S. Listen, there are other countries also who we've seen during the pandemic, during our time of quarantine, when we didn't have enough knowledge on what was going on. We saw those people quarantining and just fine. I mean, I know it is a time that a lot of people were going crazy, but it was also a time to be like, talking to your neighbor from across the way, or just sitting in your own space. And they sat there for a minute. That's why they were able to come on out and their numbers went low. It took us a minute to even start seeing our numbers get lower because we weren't obeying any guidelines. And I know that we were all going through the mental stress of it all, but it's better to know that my mom and dad are going to be there for me after this is all over, and I'm going to be there for them after this is all over, if it's ever all going to be over as we follow these guidelines. But it's better to know that we're all safe, and I get to hold their hands and kiss them on the forehead and just be with them at some point without risking their lives. Now, I know people who've said they've given the disease to a family member and have stressed themselves out about it. Like I said, I know someone who's very close to me who got it from preaching at a funeral. Because he's just for the people and he wanted to be there for everybody. He went to a funeral of somebody who died from the disease, ended up getting the disease, and ended up passing away himself. And so I have an aunt who had a pre-existing condition, and in the facility that was taking care of her, she got COVID-19, and it messed her up even more, and she passed from COVID-19, not from what she had, but from COVID-19. So it's really hard, So for a lot, I lost people during that time. So even for me, I have to remind myself, girl, you want to make sure that you're still here. You want to make sure that your family is protected. And yes, when they're vaccinated, and then I want to make sure at the same time, like, mama, where have you been? What have you been doing? She asks me all the time. She say, hey. I remember when it first started. She's like, hey, you stay until they say something else, okay? Because I'm old. She's old. I'm old lady, okay? So I'm like, girl, but yes, I do. So if we come and we literally look at it from that point of view, just saving ourselves. If we save us, we save them. If they save themselves, they're saving us. We're protecting ourselves. So I think if we just put it in that mindset and continue on with that, because they're going to probably shut down America again. I don't know, but I feel like COVID spent the block, came back, mutated. Then I feel like they're going to have to shut us down again. They're going to have to shut us down again. And if they do, I feel like it's going to be it's going to be something that's necessary. I think it's very necessary. And we don't got to go back into the office. Praise Jesus. Now, you're at the end of the show. It is 10:35, you guys. Got to get ready for my corporate job. I know you do too. Now, we can't be like Dr. Carl Mack, but one day we will. Okay, one day we will. And we'll be here rocking with y'all. We'll be here rocking with y'all for as long as we want. Okay, but we're at the end of the show. I love you guys. Mean it. Shouts out to Simone Biles. Shouts out to Naomi Osaka. Shouts out to every person who has taken the day off from work for mental health, but who was afraid to say that they took it off for mental health and just said it was something else, like their kid was sick, and had to ask God for forgiveness because they were too ashamed to say that they were taking a day off for mental health. Listen, your mental health matters. If you need to take a day, baby, take a day. Now, I didn't say quit that job because you still need the funds. But if you need to take a day, take your day because your mental health matters. You matter more than that job. I need you to understand that. Your body, your mind, your power It matters more than that job. You matter. You are more than that job. I love you guys. Mean it. We're at the end of the show. I hope that you guys have a great day. Dr. Carl Mack, go and be great in that light blue. And you, Bubba, give us some good music. Take it away.
Love y'all. Mean it.
Love you too. And in the name, get it out.
All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up for us today, y'all. We hope y'all have enjoyed the show. Shout out to Brother Ben. We will see you tomorrow. Be safe on that road, sir. Shout out to Georgia Ford on the clock with her. Dr. Matt, thank you for always coming through and dropping that knowledge and all of that good shit on us. We appreciate you. And shout out to my sister from another Mr. Rebecca. Love you, sister. Shout out to Dwayne and David as well, too, in the background, always holding us down and making us looking damn good and keeping us abreast with all these stories, y'all. We appreciate everything y'all do, man. And shout out to all our supporters, the fans, Patreons, everything. We love y'all. We mean it, y'all. Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. Your boy DJ Exclusive is out. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Deuces.